What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. It's time for our Pac-12 tier rankings. We've gone through all of the Power 5 conferences and ranked the teams into different tiers for each conference, just to kind of show you what I think about each team and which teams I think are going to be similar this upcoming season. And, you'll see in some tiers, there's going to be a team out of that tier probably break through and have a great year, and one team's probably going to struggle. But looking at it right now, preseason, this is how I put the teams into different tiers. So we start with tier number 1. Utah, I think, is in that first tier. There are a couple of other teams that I think have potential, maybe even more potential than Utah. But ranking the teams right now, Utah is a team that had a great year last year. They have a lot of guys coming back this year, and they're coached really well. And they play, they're consistent. This is one of the most consistent programs really in all of college football. And when you look at what they have coming back, there is no reason why Utah should not be, at least a 10-win team this year. This is a tier 1 team in the Pac-12, in my opinion. Not a tier 1 team in all of college football. Like I've said before, I think only 3 teams are in that first tier. Utah is in that second tier. But yes, I think Utah is a team that I would be very surprised if they struggle this year, just with everything they have coming back. What they've been able to do with adding some guys in the transfer portal and just the coaching that they have there. I think Utah is going to be the best team. Or this is not a prediction. This is not a prediction. I'm not saying Utah will finish the best in the Pac-12, but I do think that going into this season, they are the best team on paper for 2022. Let's go to tier number 2. We've got USC and we've got Oregon. And I just mentioned a second ago, I think both of these teams maybe have more potential than Utah, but they also have more questions. Utah is going to be sound. We don't really have any major concerns with Utah, but maybe their ceiling is not quite as high. I think USC and Oregon both have the talent where if everything comes together, one of these teams could make a run at the college football playoff. And I'm not saying Utah cannot do that, but I think when you look at these rosters for these two teams, USC's offense is absolutely loaded with what they did in the transfer portal. Of course, Lincoln Riley, we know what he's been able to do as a play caller. So this USC offense is going to be really, really good. Potentially one of the best offenses in the country. There are a lot of question marks on defense, but again, I kind of go back to Lincoln Riley's days at Oklahoma. He used to make the college football playoff without having a very good defense. So USC has a chance to just outscore teams. It has happened before. It could happen this year. And then Oregon, a lot more talent on defense than USC. This team is very talented on that side of the ball. Plus Dan Lanning is a defensive guy, so it's almost polar opposites. But what Oregon has is they have Bo Nix at quarterback, who is the wild card here. If Bo Nix plays like we have seen him play at times, he's been special. If he is a Heisman candidate this year, if he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, I think Oregon is a very serious playoff contender. But what about around him? How about the running backs? They're pretty deep there. Maybe don't have a special guy, but they're deep at running back, wide receiver, some good young talent. So you look at Oregon, I think it's all about Bo Nix, but he has been very inconsistent in his career. And if he doesn't play well, Oregon is a team that could flop this year. They could lose 3 or 4, maybe even 5 games. But if he plays like he has at times and he's special, then all of a sudden Oregon becomes potentially a playoff contender. So with Utah, it's more we know what we're going to get. With USC and Oregon, it's a very high ceiling, but also a little bit lower floor than Utah, if that makes sense. And that's why I put them in a tier behind Utah. Moving on to tier number 3. I think one of these teams is going to really surprise this year. I haven't put my finger on it just yet. Oregon State has just been getting better and better each year. Maybe this is the year that they kind of take that next step and become a top 25 team. UCLA has a lot coming back, and they added some nice pieces in the transfer portal as well. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a veteran quarterback, one of the most experienced guys at quarterback. He will return. This is going to be a good UCLA team. Remember last year they started off really well and then kind of fell apart down the stretch. We'll see what they do this year, but I think UCLA could be a sleeper team. And Washington and Stanford have been down the last couple of years, but I'm telling you, these teams, they both lost some close games last year. They weren't as bad as their records maybe suggested, and they've both got a lot coming back. These are going to be two of the more experienced teams, I think, in the Pac-12 this year. A lot of production coming back. I think one of them could break through. And I think all 4 of these teams have a chance to potentially be top 25 teams. I don't think all 4 of them will, but I think out of these 4 teams, 1 or maybe even 2 of them will be a top 25 team, and maybe even one of them surprises even more. If you're looking for a dark horse, if you're looking for a surprise team in the Pac-12, I'd look to these 4 teams. Maybe one of them breaks through. We'll see. Moving on to tier number 4, we've got Washington State, Cal, and Arizona State. Of course, big upgrade for Washington State at quarterback. But there are just a lot of questions. A lot of questions for this team. They've got some potential there, but a lot of production gone from last year's team. And then Cal is a team that lost a lot of close games last year. And some people say that maybe I think, well, if a team lost a lot of close games, then the next year they're going to be a lot better. Well, not if you lose a lot of players. And Cal lost a lot of production off of that team. I mean, a lot. So I think Cal might struggle this year. Arizona State's an interesting team. When you look at them, they've kind of been stuck. They've looked good at times the last couple of years, but this team overall has just kind of been stuck there, not really able to break through. It's going to be about quarterback play for them. Emory Jones coming in, maybe he wins that starting job, or maybe it's a transfer from Alabama. I don't really know who's going to win that quarterback battle, but that's probably going to determine this Arizona State team's success. There's not a lot to get excited about for me to where I think this could be a top 25 team, but at least could be a respectable team, maybe a 7-5 type team if they get good quarterback play. So they're an interesting team to watch. We'll see how it plays out with them. But we have one more tier to go, and that's tier number 5, Arizona and Colorado. I think these 2 teams might be a little bit better this year, but I still think they're probably the worst teams in the Pac-12. Maybe one of them could sneak into that tier number 4. Maybe a tier 4 team drops into this tier when all is said and done. But looking at it in the preseason, again, I don't really see anything that makes me think Arizona or Colorado is going to make a big jump from where they were last year. So I've got them here in the bottom tier of the Pac-12. That's how I would do the tiers. Would love to get your thoughts. How would you rank these teams? How would you do the tiers for the Pac-12 heading into 2022? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.